Hey everybody, Brian Von Vier here. Finally, not nasally. Now I can record with a lot of love. Now, what was the weirdest character you've ever had at your table? Part 2. Well, I have had an orc barbarian that my table has grown quite fond of. I used him in a starter edition campaign of 5th edition, and his low intelligence, 5, made him monosyllabic and basically the butt monkey of the group. Hey, it's me. A few shenanigans later, and that campaign falls apart, but I leveled him up to 20 for a one-shot in a different realm. How did we justify him being in a different realm? He got lost, and he doesn't really seem to notice the different party he's with. The entire one-shot, the only words he ever said were, "This is a Faerun." Since then, his background has escalated to the point where he was mentioned recently in our Eberron Faces of the Mist campaign by a Celestial, who speculates that he is too dim to realize he's a Celestial himself and just wanders aimlessly between the realms searching for mundane trinkets. So now he's established in the lore of several different realms and is too stupid to realize that he can willy-nilly travel between worlds. Edit. Our DMs have made it a massive running joke that whether I'm playing Mongo or not in a campaign, he is the canon in some way. A reverse Pinocchio, warforged who wish to become human but realized how squishy they are, how they're allergic against basically everything, and how gross eating and the other bodily functions are, so now he wants to become a warforged once again. A dwarf barbarian who walked around in only a thong and would completely disrobe for combat. This dwarf was also a blacksmith. He would drive me nuts. I can't read that with a straight face. He was an absolute oddball, and he never obeyed the rules of civilized folk, laws or otherwise, but expected them to do so nonetheless. He would also try to flex his infinite wisdom in front of people, and proceeded to get really freaking pissed as a player if people wouldn't take his character or advice seriously. All other player PCs from different one-shots I've ran or played in. Rumbok Scrumpton. Gnome druid with a dog called Winston as a mountain steed. Q-Man. A wibbly-wobbly human detective with multiple disguises and terrible balance, who definitely wasn't two sneaky halflings in a trench coat. Mr. Mugabit Unday. Elven doctor with a sentient, blind, shrunken head as an arcane focus. In the game I DM'd last year, one player had a dwarf that always talked about himself in the third person while also using a different name each time. To this day, I don't know what his character's real name is, or if he had one to begin with. We just referred to him as the dwarf. Plus, he did this weird voice and killed the party's guide NPC 15 minutes after his introduction. Bonus, I had a player that literally made a female version of Colonel Sanders. She was a badass old lady with a roasted chicken business on the side. Basically, she just made Paula Deen, so there you go. I played a warforged bard of Elikins, who was his own instrument. He had bagpipes built into him, so he could play and fight at the same time. He was built to be a music machine, one of 20. Because he wanted to lead his own life, his performance was actually sleight of hand magic tricks. I really like that. My players don't often get very weird. The weirdest I can remember was that once someone played a halfling who thought they had been abducted by aliens, and then proceeded to dress up as them, speak, and act really weird. They hadn't been abducted. Ned the Turnip Farmer. Warlock of the Great Turnip. Eldritch Blast shot little turnips at foes. Aw. Was made to annoy the rest of the group in protest of changing from Pathfinder to 5th edition. But ironically, some of the best roleplay from the player we ever got. I've mentioned it before, but a friend showed up to our Eberron campaign with a warforged artificer named Vento. It was a refrigerator-sized vending machine that would just spin around shooting potions to whoever needed one. It communicated via a red and green light and a buzzer. It had a 10-foot move speed and like a 5 dexterity. It survived like 2 sessions before entering a dungeon and deliberately jamming itself into a stairwell to block a pursuer's advance. Rip Vendo, a true hero. Oh man, one of our reoccurring guest players can't commit to a weekly game, but will randomly pop in. It's a druid who is just a talking dog. Like, fully just a dog. Do any of us know why this talking dog will randomly appear? No. Do we still love Milo, our guardian dog, when he makes an appearance as we are mid-boss fight? Yes. Do we all want to know what the fuck is up with this dog? Yes! A friend of mine told me he once played a gnome with no ability score higher than an 8. He played a farmer fighter that used a shovel as his primary weapon for the whole campaign. He was the only original character that survived the campaign. My usual DM during a boss fight run by someone else played a shambling hill, just a buffed shambling mound stat block. Also, for some reason, his only dialogue was, "Oh, now that's a spicy meatball, mwah." Players don't let your DM become a forever DM where this is what will happen when they get a chance to play. They'll play something that will screw with everyone's heads. A player in my current game was a sentient psionic mass of bees. Not the bees! My best friend plays a druid in my campaign. It's pretty tame, right? Wrong. She's the actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf's twin sister. And has spent the entire year campaign looking for him. And if you think that's still tame, her next character is planned out too. He's going to be a dog that was turned into a human by a wizard. His goal is to be turned back into a dog. She's running him as a barbarian who never wears shoes, can't say no to food, and chases every squirrel they see. My giant, Og. He was homebrew class Warhulk. I asked my DM about it because A, homebrew, and B, I was going to be sized as huge and very OP due to literal giant strength. So, to nerf that little, my intelligence was like 5, and I could only say my name to communicate. If someone asked me a question, I responded with, Og! I couldn't enter towns, houses, caves, etc. because I was too large. So, to pass the time while my party did what was needed in town, I would pull trees out of the ground and peel them. Or sing songs, but the lyrics would just consist of, my name in a rhythmic pattern that resembled a tune. Og, 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 og. After a while, my party started getting less and less focused and just not doing missions, quests, or following the breadcrumbs our DM would give us. So when the party needed to get back on track, Og would take some glasses out of his pocket, which allowed him to say incomplete sentences like, Og think bad. Og go away. Which meant Og's going this way, and the party would inevitably follow me because it consisted of a glass cannon and a bunch of players who were new and didn't really know what else to do. And most combats would be centered around me because giants as PCs are overpowered and hard to work around. But we all had fun, and that's what matters. Bean Boy. A goblin wild magic sorcerer. He has an entire wild magic table based on bean-related puns, who then became a hexblade warlock to a dominatrix succubi. Ooh, she could open my can of beans. I made a centaur rogue who swore up and down he was stealthy. I made his dex terrible, and most fights initiated with his clip-clops alerting the enemies. He was also half halfling and pony. I'm about to play a 5th edition Eberron game as a shifter barbarian. My backstory is I got bit by a townie under a full moon. So when I transform, my hat turns backwards and my chest hair forms a red Boston Red Sox B. Edit. I am not a sports fan at all. Ah yes, my Loxodon druid of the Circle of the Spores. A massive dude with plants and fungi growing on him. Such a fun character. Pure neutral with a calm demeanor. Searching the way to evolve to a new state of life. Becoming a hybrid fungoid elephant at level 14. He healed people with the good berries growth on himself on every cast of the spell, grossing every other party member. He never died. Too much HP, transformations, healing, etc. Ah, good times. Probably a black dragonborn blood hunter named Prince. Seems normal. Well, he's not, because every time he killed an enemy, he would eat the corpse. On top of that, he was addicted to several types of drugs I homebrewed into the campaign. He also had replaced his arm with an organic chainsaw, which they acquired by blowing it off an enhanced human by punching it in the balls. I guess it depends on what you mean with weird, but I'd probably go with this one for the weirdest. Tiefling Aberrant Mind Sorcerer, and he was weird in both appearance and personality. Appearance. He looked like he was partway through having his body changed into a mind flayer's. As for personality, he had literally no sense of privacy or personal space. He had a helmet of detect thoughts flavored as just being natural to him, and he used it all the time, without even trying to hide it. He'd read someone's surface thoughts and then respond to them out loud, no matter the circumstance. Out of character, everyone loved it and had a laugh. He was just a one-off character whilst my normal PC was kidnapped, so I wasn't too worried about if his mannerisms would get old. But, I suspect they would have if he was around for the entire campaign. I don't know if this counts, but I made a character called Miter Gage Finkelheimer. He was a 5'13" Leonin paladin with a phobia of the number 6. So when he hit level 6, he slapped the nearest person and then hid underneath a table for 2 hours, rocking back and forth. I had a minor confusion about the 5'13" bit, and I went, oh my god, that makes sense, I love it. Right now, I'm playing with a creature from another dimension. 8'5" or something tall. Purple fur, deer legs, deer-like antlers, long green hair, and around 200 years old. But, despite his age, he acts like a total child. And we have to teach him everything about our dimension. His name is Bear, and his father is Old Honeypaws. Aw, a very strange character, but super fun to play. And kind of sounds a little bit wholesome, too. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, back at it again, checking in after the vid as per usual. Make sure everybody out there leaves a like, subscribes, comments, of course, on something completely random, and, of course, rings that bell, because if you ring that bell, you're going to get notified when we post or go live. However, if you want to actually catch us live, go check us out on Twitch, which we haven't used for a long time, but you never know, we might come back on there. And if you want to submit a story to us, do so on r/MrRipper, or check us out on TikTok for 30 to 60 second videos if you feel up to it. All the links for all of that and more are in the description below. Coming out to see me? Well, okay, cool. Brian Von VA on every social media. I prefer YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Now, I always end on a positive note, and I want to end on something, well, honest. Weird characters are cool, right? A lot of people are like, well, you don't want to make them too weird because the party might not like it. That's fine. Adjust the weirdness to the people around you, but still let your imagination flow. If you're playing the character right, and no matter how weird or crazy or kooky they are, they're still going to be fun, especially for the whole party, because the party kind of needs a laugh, even in a serious way. So enjoy yourself. Have fun. It's a game. It's D&D. Make a good story, make a good character, have a good laugh, and just know, I love your imagination. And if you have something really ultra weird and crazy and kooky, go ahead, put it in the comments. And hey, Bri, read this for me, because I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But all the love, everybody. Please stay safe, happy, and healthy, and get some damn water in you, because this was a long one, folks. See you later. Bye for now.